This is the third video of 4, and in this video I'll go through the features of a fixed spool reel with a Baitrunner, which you can see in front of you. The big disadvantage of these reels when fishing for barbel, or any big fish for that matter, is the fact that it just has the single clutch. So when you cast out and you're waiting for a fish to take, the clutch is slackened off, so that when a fish picks up the bait it feels very little resistance and runs. The problem with big fish like barbel is they run very, very fast, and they make their way straight to the nearest snag, and they know where they all are. And so before you have time to tighten the clutch to play the fish, the barbel has found a snag and you're in a bit of a mess. So I'll look at bait runners, and you can see the advantage of the bait running mechanism over and above this simple fixed spool reel. This is a fixed spool reel which has a bait runner mechanism built into it. It's essentially the same as that first fixed spool reel we looked at, in that it has the fixed spool, bail arm mechanism, but on the rear end you'll notice it's completely different. If I just focus in on that, you'll be able to see it a little more clearly. You'll see that instead of one knob here, it has two. It has this here, which is the main drag, and it has this little node knob here, which is the drag for the bait runner, and it has this little lever when the bait runner is on and when the bait runner is off. So how does this bait runner mechanism work? Well, when you've cast out and the bait's in the proper position, you want as little drag on the line as possible, so when the fish picks up the bait it doesn't feel any drag at all. But then again, you've got to contend with the river current, which wants to drag line off the spool. So you have to adjust this little clutch mechanism here, this bait runner drag, so that you have the least resistance to line coming off the spool, but not so little resistance that the river current drags line away down the river. In flood conditions, of course, you might have to have this tightened up quite a lot, because the current is quite strong and the drag on the line is quite severe. However, once the fish is on, you want to increase the drag on the line to prevent the fish making into a snag, and also to tire it out quite quickly so that it's easier to land. And to do that you just use the main clutch, the main drag adjustment here. So that wants to be reasonably tight. Not so tight that should the fish make a quick lunge, it snaps the line. So you have to adjust this very, very carefully. And when you're playing the fish, of course, you can adjust this as you play it. So if the fish is powering away, you might want to tighten it up a little bit, just to slow the fish down. And if you think the fish is going to make a big lunge, as barbel tend to do, you can slacken this off a little bit, so that when it makes the big lunge there's less drag on the spool and the line is less likely to snap. So you open the bail arm and you cast out. You close the bail arm either by hand or one turn of the handle closes the bail arm. Then you must make sure that you activate the bait runner by pushing this lever forwards. If you don't do that and you leave it in this position, then you're on the main clutch, which is quite tight, and line doesn't come off very easily. You have to pull it really hard to get line to come off. If it's in this position with the Baitrunner off, if a big fish takes the line and makes a run, then there is so much drag on the spool, it quite simply pulls the reel, the rod and everything into the water, and you'd be quite surprised as to just how frequently that happens. And these reels are expensive, and this year 4 have gone in, and to the best of my knowledge none of them were recovered. So check that your Baitrunner is on, so that when a fish takes, the line comes off very easily. And the big advantage of these is that when the fish is on, you can instantly, by clicking this backwards or by one turn of the handle, you're instantly on the main clutch before that barbel has made it into the nearest tangle of roots and branches under the water, and you can keep it away from them. So that's the big advantage of the Baitrunner, the instant switch from next to no drag to a lot of drag, which you don't get with a simple fixed spool reel with just a single drag mechanism, where you have to screw this in to increase the drag, by which time the barbel has found a safe haven. The important thing is not to skimp. You'll see that when I pull that, when the main clutch is on, the bail arm mechanism flexes before the line comes off the spool. So this bit here, you'll see it flex down as I pull hard, and it puts a big strain on this piece of the mechanism, and if you've skimped, then if anything's going to go wrong, it'll certainly go wrong there, and if you've got a big fish on, then it will be extremely disappointing, to say the least. In the final video of the 4 on reels, I'll be looking at the features of a multiplier reel. In the final video of the 4 on reels, I'll be looking at the features of a multiplier reel.